Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It is Thursday. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme. Alan Rough and Tam Cowan are here to talk football. Of course, last night a full card of Scottish Premiership fixtures and no shortage of talking points. Never a dull moment in Scottish football. In fact, if you were from another planet just dropping into Scottish football over the last couple of weeks, it is actually just well and truly crazy, to be perfectly honest with you, some of the things that have gone on. But these stories obviously keep us all rolling along. One of them was, of course, an interview with Alfredo Morelos, which was translated. And subsequently, there seems to be a fair bit of confusion about who translated it incorrectly. That has prompted Celtic to look at it and ask questions of Sky Sports, who put the interview out. And suddenly, we are in a situation where we're not talking about events on the field of play. Suddenly we start with off the field. Celtic's Chief Executive Peter Lawwell has made a complaint, an official complaint by letter to Ofcom. He feels as if Sky Sports' response to their queries is inadequate. And again, with this, I am therefore asking Ofcom to conduct an investigation in order to answer the following questions. Who was responsible for the inaccurate translation? What steps were taken by Sky Television to ascertain the accuracy or otherwise of the translation provided? What part did Sky Television play in briefing the story based on the inaccurate translation to the wider media? We believe this is a matter of substantial public interest for the following reasons. Issues of racism and sectarianism are far too important to be manipulated in this way by any broadcaster or third party. And he goes on to say the use of mistranslation to convey false meaning is a dangerous form of fake news which must be condemned and sanctioned. And finally, Mr. Morelos has been seriously misrepresented and is deserving of apology and explanation. Well, rather than go down the road of commenting on something which of course requires a reply from Ofcom and of course the ongoing situation to remedy what is alleged as misrepresentation of the translation, all I can say, Roughie, is it's a sorry state of affairs. I don't want to get into the rights and wrongs of Sky Sports, another fellow broadcaster. Quite simply, this one has to be resolved and quickly so that everybody can move on. And I think Celtic and Alfredo Morelos will have to be not so much pacified, but accepting of an excuse or a reason for it when it comes.
Yeah, well, I think Celtic are went down the right avenue. I think we all know about Ofcom. We all know how serious they treat things. And if there's going to be any reprimand, it will come from them. And I think it's Celtic obviously wanting answers. And I'm sure they will get them now that they've contacted them.
Okay, we wait and see on that issue. There are so many other issues off the parket. As I mentioned, always hogs the back page headlines. Sometimes it hits the front page as well. But the one thing that hogged the headlines last night on the field of play, two games in particular at the top end of the table, Celtic and Rangers still tit for tat, looking to try and win the title. Celtic were at Fir Park. It was a masterclass, Tam Cowan. Celtic dismantled Motherwell in the second half, and the virtuoso performance seemed to be odds and Edouard.
No, Signor. Motherwell humpy toenail. Mistranslation. I wish it was a mistranslation and we had won the game, but fairly and squarely beaten. We had the odd wee skirmish, the odd wee chance. Maybe we didn't have players quite of the class of Edouard, who was absolutely astonishing. If we did have a player who maybe could have controlled the ball a wee bit better, whose first touch was maybe a bit better, whose finishing was a bit better, then Motherwell could have scored maybe one or two goals in the first half. half. But our get out of jail free card was probably the results from the Aberdeen and Livy games. We expected, I think, both clubs, particularly Aberdeen, to gain a bit of ground on us at the top of the league. So what was a free hit against Celtic, as everybody would normally say, turned out exactly that way. But the guy Edouard, I spoke to a few folk at the club, including this morning Keith Lasley, and he just said that he had nightmares all night about him. He said, I didn't get a wink of sleep. He was absolutely devastating. And I think Celtic fans should just get used to the idea of a Celtic team without him, because he's definitely going to go. You can't keep talent like that in Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that in mind, Celtic manager Neil Lennon couldn't stop praising him last night.
He's just special, you know, when he's in that sort of form. He's a joy to watch, you know. Free kick, you know, it was a great finish for the first goal. His link-up play with Lee at times was very creative and good to watch, but he's just a 22 and outstanding footballer all round, and he's just so important to us at the minute.
Yeah, he was special last night. If it wasn't nutmegs, it was clinical finishing, and of course the free kick as well was just, from so close in to get it up and down, special as well. Even the Motherwell manager Stephen Robinson just had to concede that they come up against a special player.
Yeah, he is unplayable at times, and I thought first half we contained very well. If you drop off at all 5 yards, if you don't get hold of the ball, the back four can't get up. Front three didn't get hold of the ball at the start of the second half, kept giving it away. And, then it creates gaps and spaces, and they punished you. So he's an excellent player. That's what you get for £10 million.
I think that's the best point of it. That's what you get for £10 million. And I hate to say this, some Celtic fans will think, you're trying to sell him, you're trying to get him out the door, much as they say about Alfredo Morelos. But quite simply, there is a moment when you see a player. I watched Virgil van Dijk beat the entire St Johnstone side and thought, he scores free kicks, he's a centre half, he's unbelievable, he's too good for the Scottish game, he'll go. Odsonne Edouard, for me, will go. Is it 30 million? Is it more? I don't know. But he's definitely going to be trying to fend off suitors in the summer.
Yeah, most definitely. I think world class is maybe just a wee bit too much. I think you've got to be a really, really big club and start winning tournaments, big tournaments, to get that tag. But I think a lot of people are now looking at the comparison between him and Dembele. The progress and the way that he's going. It looks as if it's the same sort of a path. And he's certainly shown in everything that Dembele had at this moment in time, and he's still got a lot to go.
Yep, absolutely. Well, all eyes were on Fir Park. If you were a Celtic fan, most of their ears were tuning in to see what was happening over at Ibrox, and it was a bit harum-scarum at some points in this one, Tam. The biggest cheer at Fir Park was when Hibs obviously scored in that match to go 1 goal ahead, but Rangers know they're on a knife edge where there's no more slip-ups as far as their manager's concerned.
No, there are no slip-ups because, Gary McAllister a few weeks ago was saying they had to look for perfection now. They didn't quite achieve that, most notably with the result at Tynecastle. Connor Goldson was saying they need to win their next 9 games. It'd be interesting to hear a reaction for him to that. Does he hold his hands up now and say, yeah, true to my word, I don't think we can win the league now? Or would he say, no, we're still in there and we've got 2 Old Firm games? It would all be very interesting for me. But yeah, there was a loud, you're getting towards the business end of the season when you start hearing fans reacting to goals elsewhere. And that was quite a cheer last night for that. One of the biggest cheers in Motherwell last night, though, and I would like to think that I had something to do with it, was when my good friend Arthur in De Claudio's restaurant was handed a £50 tip by Rod Stewart. Yeah. That indeed was a tip that Rod and his party left for Motherwell's premier restaurateur. And it was a pal of a pal of a pal who'd asked me to recommend a restaurant in Motherwell. They'd seen a post that I'd put up on Instagram, and I get contacted and he said, what was that restaurant like you were in? I thought, he's been very inquisitive here. Would you have to book in advance? I says, aye, it's not very big. How far in advance? Is it normally busy in the night of a Motherwell game? And I never joined the dots, right? And this guy is in with the bricks at Celtic. may have been innocent. Maybe it was Rod himself that thought, I fancy that wee restaurant in Motherwell. Maybe it was when he was in, I don't know, having a game of shoot pontoon, the Railway Tavern. But maybe the guy behind the bar says, if you're peckish, Rod, get up to the Claudio's. But it was magnificent. So Rod, who, correct me if I'm wrong, meant to have something of a reputation for being a skinflint, left a superb £50 tip, which you don't get every night of the week in a Motherwell restaurant. Yeah,
it might be something that draws a compliment from Tam, but it puts the rest of us under pressure when we go to a restaurant in Motherwell now. So we are. And of course, as ever, I love it with Tam. Always gets a wee plug in that will get him a free starter, a main course, and a sweet Roughie.
Absolutely.
Anyway, apart from anything else, across there at Ibrox, and how he managed to get that restaurant in deserves 100% credit to you.
I never said that iron brew is made from girders.
And here comes the crate. As far as Rangers were concerned, going a goal down is one thing, getting back into the game is another. And then, of course, it's not just trying to get a point, it's trying to get all three, because there can be no slip-ups. Well, last week, Steven Gerrard mentioned they were missing a spark. Ioannis Hadji has come on loan. He provided the spark. It was the late show. He got the winner, and Steven Gerrard thinks it was fully justified.
He's a brave player in terms of he received the ball in any situation, in any area of the pitch, and even if he makes a mistake next time, he won't shy away, he'll keep going. His second half performance deserved to win the match. He was outstanding, and the goal, I'm actually shouting on the side, take a touch, but what do I know? Fantastic finish.
Great touch, great finish, and maybe he is the man now that can just galvanise a dressing room that was looking for fresh faces.
Yeah, certainly now he will be a hero with the fans, there's no doubt about that, you know, but to leave it so late in the game, I would expect it to be very, very nervy, but at the end of the day they'll say it's 3 points, you know, and that's what they'll take out of this one. But I'm sure he'll be wanting them to play a lot better. Yeah.
As far as Hibs are concerned, Roughie, are you overly worried? Just one win in the last 5 matches?
Yeah, again, the wee run there, you know, but it was against the teams that were down the bottom of the league. So, you know, I think they just need to consolidate this year, you know, and maybe add a couple of players. If they can get in the top 6, that'd be a bonus.
Yeah. Let's be honest, the wonderful world of Scottish football, probably what's happening at Hearts now kind of takes the heat off Hibs a wee bit anyway. There might be more focus on recent results at Hibs if Hearts weren't floundering.
Yeah, it's a great point you make, Tam, because of course every manager wants to try and take a positive out of a difficult or negative situation, and that's what Jack Ross tried to do last night.
I think before the game I spoke about what we wanted to do was be much more competitive than we had been in the 2 games thus far against Rangers, and we were. We certainly were. Proud of what the players gave me tonight. It was hard work out of possession, playing against a good team whose record at home is terrific. So you've got to be resolute and disciplined and hard working, and we were all those things. Hugely frustrated then that we don't take something from the game, particularly the timings of both of their goals as well. But yeah, a lot of pluses for us tonight.
Hibs losing the game in the end, and as Tam mentioned there, with Motherwell losing, they were looking at some of the other matches and wondering if any of the teams that were closing in on third place were going to gain some ground. Aberdeen didn't gain any ground. I watched the goal from St Johnstone. I tell you, their back four was posted completely missing when St Johnstone got the winning goal.
And Ali McCann, I don't know if he's a player that, again, other clubs will be looking at. He's making a bit of a name for himself up there. But, you know, when you hear Derek McInnes even saying that, you know, he would have been booing the team last night. They've been abject recently, and it sounds crazy, Peter, but I will now feel actually quite disappointed for what I've seen this season if Motherwell don't finish third. If Aberdeen had overtaken us, you know, I would have thought, oh, of course they're a much bigger club, but for what I've actually seen on the park for Aberdeen, I thought, no, we've played a lot better than that this season. Yeah. I think we actually merit third, but
Tam, they haven't scored a league goal since the break, Aberdeen.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. That's awful.
That's the problem when you put all your eggs in the one basket with a striker in Cosgrove.
Yeah.
You know, we're all raving about him, this and that. If he dries up, then you see the problems, you know, because nobody else is chipping in with anything.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if you think that Aberdeen have got problems, Hearts have got major problems. You know, I look at the side, I'm sorry to be so bold about this, Tam, but we just can't have Hearts dropping out of the Premiership again. I just think it would be a disaster. And last night, suddenly, starting well, Darren Jackson was at the game and I asked him this morning and he said they started well, lost a goal, confidence gone, fans get on their back, second one goes in, mass exodus, and then by the time 3-0, the game's gone.
But there you go. Backs up my theory about clubs, players rather, turning it on for the games against the big teams. Hearts somehow able to beat Rangers at Tynecastle the other week, and then when I looked at my phone last night and I'm sitting at Fir Park and I thought, wow, 0-3, Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 3. Kilmarnock have hardly been any great shakes, it was quite incredible. And I thought, there we go again. But for Hearts, reports in today's papers that they will be effectively fully fan-owned and fully run by the fans, I reckon, in April, almost the effective handover, if you like. And they don't want to then think, great, that's us fan-owned, we're in the First Division, or the Championship, whatever you want to call it. So, that would be alarming. But, and it's no point saying, because you always go back to, they're too good to get in.
Like Hibs.
Like Hibs, exactly. Everybody said that until with that last kick of the ball against Hamilton 5 or 6 years ago, whatever it was, Hibs did indeed go down. So there's a difference between too good to go down and, as maybe you would say about Hearts now, too bad to stay up.
Well, things are going wrong, Roughie, when you're 2-0 down and suddenly, if you're Daniel Stendhal on the touchline, Pereira, a shot that he should save, suddenly he just blows it and he makes a mistake that managers just go into a darkened room and beat their head off the wall. You're 3-0 down and there's no way back. Yeah,
I think that's why now I think a lot of managers know how important it is to have a good goalkeeper. I think the boy at Motherwell has been absolutely superb. Livingston goalie's been absolutely superb.
Well, there's our biggest dilemma at Motherwell. Our biggest problem at Motherwell is we've got two great goalies. Yeah. We've got Gillespie and we've got a guy that's almost been forgotten about, Trevor Carson.
Yeah. But Gillespie will go in the summer and Carson will come in.
Well, and that joy of joys, it means that we know we've got a good guy coming in. There's been many a club doing through the years, you think, we need to just pluck the guy out of the reserves. I hope he's all right. We know that Trevor Carson's good. But with Hearts, you think if only there was a goalkeeper out there who's excellent, who's got a lot of time for Hearts, is not getting any football at his current club, and a wee deal could be done. But I can't think, Emily.
No, I can't actually think myself. And don't forget,
you a goal before the guy that's in goal for Hearts, innit?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. And don't forget, later on we might do a Craig Gordon competition. But on that point, elsewhere, as far as the results were concerned, Hearts still in big trouble. I still, at this point, I'm going to say, Roughie, I still think they'll get out of it. The only thing that will go against them, and this is not me being pro a home-based manager, Daniel Stendhal wants to play football a certain way and wants to get them playing that. Maybe, coming into a different country, trying to play his way of football, maybe Hearts would have needed somebody who totally gets the Scottish game. They just need to fight. I don't know, but I know one thing for certain: if Hearts were to go down, they will look back and say, Craig Levein, too long, and then stumbling into a manager that didn't have a grasp of what this country's about.
Yeah, I think the alarm bells will start ringing for Hearts if they start getting beat by Hamilton, St Mirren, the teams that are down there, the Ross Counties. If they can't handle these games, they're in dire trouble.
But you know what? Have a look at their fixtures. Sadly for them, sadly for the Hearts fans, it's no clubs that are playing there the next few weeks. They've got some absolutely killer fixtures. But Peter, let me ask you this. I'm not drawing comparisons just because they're fellow countrymen, but Daniel, he is a German.
Yes.
Gentleman, yes.
Yeah.
When Klopp first took over at Liverpool, I have scant regard for English football.
Yeah.
Did he get off to a flyer, or was there a wee bit of baby steps initially?
No, I think there's baby steps, but the problem here, Tam, is it's baby steps with a Liverpool side that are more than capable of winning games in the English
and a Liverpool side that were never in danger of being relegated.
This guy is now under pressure with a team that clearly at this moment is folding when the chips are down. Yeah. So that's a worry. Elsewhere, you can give us your view as well on this. Elsewhere, Ross County, if we're picking your predictions last night, Roughie, Ross County 2-0 against Libby, didn't see that. I'll tell you, St Mirren battled away and somehow get themselves a point against Accies as well. Here's how it all panned out in the fixtures, the results from last night then. Aberdeen, Neil St Johnstone 1, Hearts 2, Kilmarnock 3. Celtic 4-0 at Fir Park. Rangers just edging it 2-1 against Hibs. Ross County there with a win, and the draw for St Mirren against Hamilton. Here's how it looks on the table for the Scottish Premiership right now, and it's still similar situations. 7 points with Rangers with that game in hand against St Johnstone, but Motherwell just with that little cushion, Tam.
Yeah, nice cushion there, and I've got a smile on my face looking at St Mirren. I did. That was the BBC Alapa game last night, and the Sado that Ama went in last night after the Motherwell Celtic game, poured a wee drink and sat and watched that. As you should watch the Gaelic games with the sound down,
yes,
and a bit of your favourite music on. You get the best of both worlds and a wee glug glug. And I was laughing. There was an elbowing incident that I'm sure you're well aware of.
Yes.
And Jim Goodwin, of all people, was given the match officials pelters because of an elbowing incident. And that's like you having a go at somebody for having a bad perm, quite frankly. I had a wee smile when I saw that.
Yeah, listen, just before we finish, I've got to say, 40 years of age, he's hanging up his boots. I think everyone in the football show would like to pay tribute to Kenny Miller. He's been a great player, certainly got a great career when you look at the stats for him, Roughie. Incredible, 12 different clubs, over 600 appearances, 260 goals not to be sniffed at, 69 Scotland caps. And I would say to you, when you look at him, the international goals, the cups, the League Cup, the 4 titles, I think Kenny will look back with great pride. I think it's kind of in the last year or two gone a wee bit sour, and you know there are many reasons for it, but I think he's been a credit to our game. Yeah,
I think a lot of players that he's played with and all the clubs he's been at will say it's a privilege to be being with a 100% professional. That's all I hear about every club he's been at, and particularly at my club at Partick Thistle. He was an absolute joy to have in the dressing room for all the younger players.
And veteran's veteran.
Yeah.
Kirk Douglas was his paper boy. Did you know that?
Yeah. I wouldn't roll.
He's ancient, but good. I tell you what, I would take him at Motherwell tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Kenny, we wish you well in whatever you decide to do in your retirement. There's plenty of room for more pundits, certainly with all your experience. I'm just going to finish on a sad note on this day, the 6th of February, because as ever, you can look back on many occasions in football when it's filled with great sadness. 6th of February is synonymous with the Munich air disaster for Manchester United, and I think that group of players will never be forgotten. Certainly, I think among many informed pundits at the time, Manchester United in 1958 could well have gone on to win the European Cup. It was in its early embryonic stages, that tournament, but they were a gifted side. Of course, if you talk to any Manchester United the fans of a certain vintage, and Sir Bobby Charlton, Duncan Edwards is the name that sticks out, but there were so many people, 8 players, 3 staff, 8 journalists who died when the plane returned from Red Star Belgrade. It didn't actually make it because after the first aborted takeoff, the second one proved to be tragic, and so many people lost their lives. And Sir Bobby Charlton and at the time Sir Matt Busby, it was touch and go whether many people thought they were going to make it as well. But Sir Matt Busby, to his credit, came back, built a side, won the FA Cup, and then eventually 10 years after that disaster won the European Cup, and the rest, as they say, is history. But for everyone involved in the Munich air disaster and the club of Manchester United, it is well worthy of a mention on the programme. Thanks to Roughie and to Tam Cowan. Don't forget to cover everything we've got on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and of course on YouTube if you can subscribe. And tomorrow, if you get a chance, please look up our podcast, which comes out early in the morning. Andy Ritchie is our special guest. You can get it on the audio platforms and also on YouTube. From myself, Peter Martin, thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.